Okay, welcome. We are live here at the Blue Dragon School in Bergenfield, New Jersey. That's a big deal now, I have to say that. I have what I think is a pretty interesting topic. And if there's time for questions, I'll give the opportunity. But so many people, and this is over the years, okay, that I see, everyone's heard of fight or flight.
Yes.
So there's fight, there's flight, and there's freeze, which is the deer in headlights reaction, and you don't know what to do. Years ago, I read some very interesting encounters of people who've survived traumatic events. And one of the ones that really sticks out in my mind is World Trade Towers, when they came down. So the survivors were interviewed, at least some of them. And they said, what happened? Like, how did you survive? And what they said was, at the first sign of danger, they just hit the stairs or hit the elevator. They got out immediately. There was no hesitation. There was no, I got to go get my stuff. They just immediately got out. Now, this was obviously a wise decision because these are the survivors. You can't interview the ones who didn't survive. And the survivors did say some people would go back for their stuff. Somebody would go back for someone else, right? And when that started coming down, it was over. I knows that now. But that's the thing about surviving a trauma, is not being in this. Freezing is very much one shock, right? Disbelief, that's a big one. Because disbelief is not accepting reality in the moment. And it's also, the brain takes time to calculate and figure out what the heck's going on, okay? So if you know, if you're trying to figure out what's going on, obviously you're not moving, you're not getting a solution to the problem. So these people, somehow their instincts just took them right out. If you freeze, or let's say you deny the situation, that's really what it is. It's like, oh, let me go get my stuff, not really accepting that this is a life or death situation. That's going to make more sense a little later. Okay. Just remember, I'll leave that off with being lulled to sleep. So fight or flight. Simple. Fight for your life or run for your life. In ancient times, our physiology developed just like any other animal, where the heart's going to pump faster, your eyes are going to narrow vision, and the muscles are going to get pumped up. You know, the extremities are going to get pumped with blood so they can run or fight, because it's a survival mode and it's meant to be short term. It's meant to be short term. So in the moment, fighting for your life. And many years ago, when I was a kid, I had a collie that was the most gentle animal you can imagine for a pet. And one day, this big German Shepherd comes running around the corner, and that little collie, medium to large collie, but the dog was a German Shepherd, bigger and mean and growling and come running at me. That collie protected me like you wouldn't believe, and fought for my life, really. And the collie has this natural defense of very, very thick hair. So I'm watching the teeth going and the growling, and the German Shepherd kept biting hair and biting hair. And that collie got the German Shepherd to yelp and run off. It was amazing to watch. And here I am, probably literally 45 years later, at least. And I remember that fight. That animal knew to protect me. I was a kid. What could I have been? I don't know, eight years old maybe. And that thing fought for my life, actually. You know, if the dog responded with fear and ran away, it's an amazing thing about animals, actually. The dog didn't run away. A lot of times people do, right? They're too scared. they run. This is what I'm getting at, fight or flight, but these are natural instincts. The problem is, and this is where my patients come in. Now I feel pulses, and I can feel this constant underlying angst, fear, anxiety, tension. I mean, where do you think high blood pressure comes from? Literal pressure on the vessels. Yeah, overweight makes a mechanical pressure on the vessels, but muscle tension. And it's this microscopic level even, where the vessels aren't able to, they're not pliable. And so when the blood's pushed through from the heart, it literally makes too much pressure on the pipe. Okay? So that's where tension's coming in. Fight or flight is supposed to be in the moment, fight for your life, run for your life. But people have chronic fight or flight. Chronic fight or flight. What happens when you're in fight or flight? Just about every person that comes in with digestive problems, actually, whether or not they're complaining of them or not, because my post-diagnosis is able to find digestive problems. And it's a direct result of fight or flight. Meaning living in survival mode, but it's not, running a sprint from a bear chasing you or something. It's just life. Life with this constant duress, constant stress, constant trying to keep up and never feeling like you can. Always battling and struggling to get ahead and never really can. So it's kind of the world we created, right? But did we create it? What I mean by that is, so controlling people. There are some known techniques that go back, I don't know, at least 100 years or more. Mind control, brainwashing, hypnosis. Anybody ever been hypnotized? I know I can't be hypnotized unless I allow it, but because I have so much experience with meditation, I can basically hypnotize. I'm putting myself there. I'm always conscious of what's going on. The person, do you realize that a hypnotized person, they have done studies, they can actually cut you open without anesthesia. They can put your mind separate from your body with hypnosis. There's studies that show that. Now, that's pretty powerful. Let's say a prisoner of war, and you want to snap their mind. Isolation, one. Okay. Take them away from their comfort zone, their social support, their ability to get camaraderie, isolation. Then confusion. Keep telling them things, and then they think they know what you said, and then they say it the right way, and no, you tell them they're wrong. I never said that, and then make them constantly confused. Keep changing rules, keep changing instructions. Keep them confused. Third one is basically what I was just talking about. Keep them anxious, fearful, worried. And then offer a solution so they can feel, excuse me, got one more. Messed up with the Zoom, but we got it now. Okay, just a second. Hello. Okay, good. Okay, so keep them fearful, and then you offer a solution to make them feel safer. One of the techniques I've learned that was used is have someone act like a motherly figure that they learn to trust. And you rip that from them. It can never make that person happy. If you want me to help you, you have to listen. That would also be part of the confusion, keeping them confused. They think they can trust this person and then they can't. Or they're just trying so hard to please this person, like a parent, like their own mother. And no, you got that wrong, and you're going to get killed because, and just constant duress, breaking the mind. How to break the mind. So then the fear, offering a solution. Think about a salesperson. We're living in fight or flight. We already established that. Low-level fight or flight. So most people have a good amount of anxiety. One of the top drugs is the anxiety medication. The antidepressants are another one, right? Anxiety and depression, they go together. So people already feel that way. Then a salesman comes in and offers something that creates more fear, scares you in some way. Do you realize what's going to happen if you don't have this insurance? For example. Your children are going to go hungry. If you die, you have to have this life insurance. Make people very scared. And then what? The solution. So they entered the situation which they always feel anxious. And then you scare them some more, getting them worried about their loved ones being okay. And then you offer a solution and make them feel better. And now you just convince them of something they may not even need. You make them spend money on something they may not need. Maybe it's good for them, maybe it's not good for them, but the good salesman knows how to do what I'm talking about. So the salesman is presented like they're the knowledgeable one about their product, so they're an authority figure now, aren't they? And since children, we learn to respect authority, respect teachers, line up when the bell rings, and fire drills, and get people quiet and stay straight line and following instruction, authority telling you to follow this without any thinking. Don't think, follow. Don't think for yourself, just do what we say. And so people fall into that and they become more and more susceptible. So there's a part of the brain, the reason for this. Studying the brain, it was realized we have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And there's sort of a veil between them. When you have somebody in a fearful situation and offering solutions and offering answers and helping them try to feel safe when they feel fearful, fear is basically breaking that veil. It's like a barrier, breaking the barrier. So that's why they know how to break somebody, how to break the mind. And then put in what they want you to think, what they want you to believe is true. They put that in there. Now you think about yourself. What are you afraid of? What makes you emotional? Whatever you fear, when you feel this fear, this is something from your subconscious. Because the subconscious reaches the conscious mind, which creates the feeling of fear. The greater the emotional response, the deeper it is in your subconscious. The more solidified that belief is. It could be something that's true. It could be something completely made up. That's why whenever I talk about fear, I have to remind everyone of the acronym for fear. False, evidence, period, real. If a child is told to line up, don't make any sound, keep a straight line and go, fire drill, or the bell goes off, time to go, no matter what you're doing, you could be in the middle of something, the bell goes off, time to go, you're responding to this, like Pavlov's dog. You respond with what you're supposed to do next. Get your stuff together, go to your next class, or finish the day. You think about that. When you do something different, you're going a different direction, you're making different decisions than other people, you don't fit in. And people want to feel loved. They want to feel like they're accepted. And so also interesting studies that go back, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 years. Did anybody ever see the one where they had a group of, I don't know, 6 or 7 people? And 6 of them, let's say there were 7, 6 of them were in on the study, and 1 had no idea about the study. And so they would show a card, and they have a line on it with 3 other lines, and be like, which one is equal? And they'd have the numbers 1, 2, 3, and you know, they're all saying 2. And the one guy is like 3. And everybody else saying 2. So he's like, what? They're crazy. And then it happens again. And now, you know, it's like, now they have a new one, and it's this one, and he says 1, and everybody else says 3. By the 3rd time, that subject will start answering the wrong answer because everybody else said the wrong answer. He wants to fit in. He's thinking something's wrong with him. How crazy is that? Another study, people were in a waiting room, and again, there's like 10, 12 people, and one woman has no idea, and everybody else is in on it. And they have this tone that goes off, and there's really no reason whatsoever for this tone. Just pretty much like school. And everybody stands up every time the tone goes, and then everybody sits back down. And the one woman's sitting there, and she says, everybody stands up, so she stands up thinking that they have to leave or something. And then everybody sits back down, and she's looking around, and then she sits back down. And then everybody gets up, she's looking around, she gets back up, and then sits back down. And eventually, you know, the other new people come in, and you'll see her be one of the first ones up. It's like, I got this. No, why are we standing? Where are we going? What is this tone? No thought process, no critical thinking whatsoever. This is how most people function. So go back now. You're living in fear, anxiety, depression. You know, you have this underlying angst all the time, not comfortable, trying to keep up, under-rested, overworked, worrying about family, kids, all these things, keeping you so over crazy busy. And then they offer some kind of fear. And then that fear grabs hold, right? And you believe the fear. And that's why you've heard me say many times, what do they call what's on the television? Oh, programming. Do they not call it programming? Okay, there's a computer being programmed. So how difficult would it be for an educated psychiatrist, mind, brain, understanding scientist to put into scripts what they want people to believe and what they want people to know and how they want people to respond? How difficult would that be? It's not difficult at all, because you already got the anxiety, and now you enter something that's scary for them. What do you usually see on the news? Who sees good news on the news? It's usually things that make you more scared. Oh, there was a murder over here, there was a rape over there, people breaking in houses, etc., etc. Car crashes, 14 dead, etc., etc. So they're adding more fear to you already living in anxiety. And now they can put the message that's going to go right through that veil, right into your subconscious mind, and you'll believe whatever those professionals want you to believe. And how well do you believe it? Think about how you respond emotionally. Remember? The more emotional, the deeper it is in your subconscious. The more you grasp that belief, and if you get angry at other people when they tell you otherwise, the deeper is the belief, the stronger is the control. So just think about that. The more visceral your reaction to something, the more it's in your subconscious mind, whether it's true or not. But if somebody was programming And they do, whether it's in your best interest or not, to get most people to believe exactly what they want to believe. And it's going very, very deep because we're already living in fight or flight. So the deeper, the more visceral the emotion, the deeper penetrating is your subconscious awareness. And the more, like the kids lining up for the fire drill, oh, talking, or standing up for the more you comply, the stronger the tree is. Let me say that again. The more things they can get you to do without any thinking, critical thinking, asking why, researching for yourself, the more you just follow the crowd because you want to be loved and accepted, the more you comply, the stronger the trance. You see, martial arts to me is self-defense against anything. We've always said here, meditation is the most important thing we do. It's the most difficult thing we do, and it's the most important thing we do. Now, fight, flight, or freeze. What do you do if you freeze? Breathe. You might even scream. Without the breath, you can't scream. So I count that in breathing. Breathe. I train myself to respond to something that makes you like this, to go deep. What happens when I breathe deep like that? I instantly feel my feet on the ground. I root, I ground myself. So that more quickly the mind can see what the hell's going on. Also, when you meditate regularly, you become very conscious of your thinking. And you might even question why you think the way you do, why you feel the way you do, why you believe what you do, why you do what you do, why certain people can push your buttons, why you get emotional to certain things. The more conscious mind is going to ask those kind of questions. Meditation can lead you that way because meditation gets you in control of your mind. Sitting in front of a television, which whatever they put on the television can control your mind over time. Literally. TV is known to have a flicker rate that puts you in a trance. It takes you out of beta, puts you around alpha. You know, there's alpha, theta. Theta is a deep meditation. Delta is much deeper. It's actually deep sleep as well. It's where most healing happens. But if you're dropped into alpha, a light trance state, whatever they say goes right into your subconscious. And don't forget, you're already in fight or flight. So the veil is broken. You go right in with whatever they're telling you. Now, another thing, emotional people who live in fear, all people who live in fear are emotional, scared. Fight or flight is supposed to be survival mode. That's why I know when there's a digestive problem, mostly it's stress. Your body cuts off the messages for digestion. So now food literally rots in your stomach when you're in fight or flight. You're living your life emotionally. When you're emotional, when you're stressed, anybody here ever get more irritable? Anybody here ever get angry with somebody and then you realize, like, why did I snap at them? Somebody says to you, why are you talking to me like that? We don't realize our liver is very much involved with that. Anger comes out, irritability comes out. Then, and that's just stagnation in that part of the body. So now if you're more emotional, you're less thoughtful. You're less thoughtful, you're less mindful. You're less human. You're more controlled by emotion. Less compassion. More scared less understanding, empathy. Because those things go up. Optimism. Person in survival mode feels like they're going to die all the time. It's like that edge. Meditation is the opposite. Meditation makes you optimistic, creative, thoughtful, clearer mind, able to make better decisions. Emotional people lash out, punch people, get angry. They hope people die. They get them upset. I hope you die. They'll say crazy things like that. They'll get out in traffic and come running at you with a crowbar because they're basically running from an animal mind. Is that not more what we're seeing in today's world? More people living off emotion. All the stages are there and very obvious. I think our only defense is to realize how powerful it is. Because if you haven't been meditating regularly, you haven't been practicing regularly, again, that's why this art is so phenomenal. And it's real self-defense for anything in life, is living in line with natural laws. Meditation is the foundation of all true martial arts. Bagua Zhang's whole point is to bring you back to Tao, God, the source, to be one with all. This is why we practice. If you have that realization, nobody's going to get in there like that, because you're going to be very clear-minded. You're not living here. So the veil is more solid. That doorway is not penetrated so easily. But you can practice a lot and meditate a lot and still sit in front of the TV and still going in. You have to sit there consciously. If you're going to watch something on TV, movies even, news, sitcoms, whatever you're watching, you have to consciously look at them as actors. You allow yourself to get into it like you're part of it, they got you. Whatever the message is coming in. Is it good for you or not good for you? So you have to be very careful and spend very little, if any time at all, in front of a television that literally puts you in a trance and sends messages. The question is, are you aware of it? Because if you're not aware of it, forget it. 100% they got you. Hypnosis, hypnotic trance, and they get you to do whatever. They could cut you open without anesthesia. Remember that? And that's what they're trying to do. Make you believe so much. Anybody ever been to a good hypnosis show? It's worth it if it's a good one, if it's real. Raise your hand if you did. You know what I'm talking about. Really? Wow. Couple people. Wow. You got to go if the opportunity comes. I mean, a real good one. Because they'll line people up. There could be 15 people from the audience sitting on the stage. And they put you in the trance, right? And the guy knows right away if you're in the trance or not, if you're faking it. They get you out, get out, get out. He knows who he's really got. And then those people, you'll be shocked what we can make you do. I saw one guy, he didn't even know how to play guitar. He was like Jimi Hendrix. It's like Jimi Hendrix came from the ether. He was jamming on guitar. Another one was Elvis Presley. I mean, they can do. And then they take them out, and it's like, you remember what you did? Was I hypnotized? What happened? They have no memory at all. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And there's those that can't be. I've tried, they can't. I'll be like laughing or something. It just doesn't penetrate. Anybody ever try it? You never saw it and never tried it. That's funny. At these shows, maybe they want to keep it a secret. Don't let anybody know this is possible. No, but you'd see it at like the Meadowlands Fair. They would have a big tent and have that show. You never saw a show like that? I figured everybody saw that. Wow. Who saw it over there? I saw a hand or two. Okay, 2 hands over here. So it's a scary thing. Now, the other side of that coin, living in these times. if you're grounded, if you're centered, if you're practicing to create that kind of mind, to get out of this, because awareness of this should help you or inspire you to practice to not live here, because fight or flight is not healthy. Fight or flight causes a lot of problems. I already said you can't even digest your food right. Food is rotting. That's why people, it comes up and people are belching and feel the acid reflux in here, whatever. You're not getting the nutrition. That's just one thing. Your body cannot repair things because it feels like it's in survival all the time. And somebody in survival, again, is very emotional. But if you understand it and you keep yourself out of it, couldn't you express more love in the world in spite of how others act? Couldn't you be more compassionate, more empathic, understanding what's actually happening to people? This way, you're never the one who's angry with them. You know, it'd be nice if everybody got some education like this and understood why they think the way they do. But if they don't, does it help you to argue with them or fight with them? It really doesn't. And I think the more you practice, the more you're centered, the more you can read that too. How visceral it is, how upset they get. And you back off and you may pray for them inside, or just send them love, or just be positive with them. Try to help them understand, you know, not help them convince them. I mean, just you try to understand better, because conflict doesn't help anything. You know, you can plant seeds. You can plant seeds. But I think that's one of the interesting things, because this is real science. And when somebody spends a lifetime studying something, how are you going to know much about it in 10 minutes? That's why sometimes if I get in a discussion with someone that in this way, that they don't agree or whatever, I say, it's like me reading a book that's 1,200 pages and handing you a pamphlet to try to explain it to you. Something I spent maybe months studying, and now I'm going to explain it to you with a pamphlet, with a flyer. Here's my bullet points. It's not convincing like that. You can't do it. So when they get angry, they get emotional, I'm explaining why, so you understand. And if you're grounded, centered, and also with whatever, remember, fear, false evidence appearing real. It could be being afraid of a mouse. It could be being afraid of a cockroach, a snake. Is it dangerous and truly threatening to you? You can do your due diligence and research, and then you don't have to have any fear of that thing that's not really a threat to you. So that's fear from delusion, basically, misunderstanding, right? So you do your due diligence, you don't have to have the fear, and nobody can convince you otherwise, because if you're the knowledgeable one that knows what you're talking about, or knows why you don't have fear, you know, it's like my child running from a bug, and I pick up the bug with my hand because I know it can't do me harm. So I show no fear. But if as the parent, I scream and run and everything, then I'm going to add more fear to the child's life. The child's going to think these things are dangerous because daddy was so scared. But it was irrational. How many things are we afraid of that are completely irrational? No reason. So if you really want to understand, spend a little time understanding. Watch who you trust in. Where's it coming from? Are you coming from here? And are you open to whatever they want you to think? So, okay, I'll give time for maybe one question depending. Anybody have a question for today? Otherwise, it could be about this. Maybe something you're experiencing or some challenge in modern times. Okay, let's go to meditation.